So garden YouTube has a really big problem, and this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while. I think this is going to be a video that I was going to put on my main channel for a very long time. And then I've sort of I don't think it'll ever get made. I've got too many ideas that I want to make. And this isn't some like old man yells at cloud type of thing. Like the problem, because I think I identified it quite early on, even though I was a little bit upset by it, because I knew that if I just sort of play within the rules of this game and this thing, that like I could still kind of flourish. And I think it's one of the reasons that my channel took off so quickly, so early on. But it's something that I think audience members should be aware of, because there's, I think, a big difference between what you're clicking on and like what you're looking for. The big problem with garden YouTube is that the successful videos and the videos that you're watching are not necessarily the best videos for you to be improving your garden. What I really mean by that is, I've just noticed that I've spilled coffee over the corner. We'll ignore that. Is that, let's say if you want to get the best at pruning your tomatoes, most likely the video that you're gonna be watching is not the best tomato pruning tutorial there is on YouTube. Instead, my beard's itchy. Instead, what you're gonna be watching is a version of a tomato pruning tutorial that is the most watchable, the most clickable, the most like well packaged, that you might want to, if you want to know all of the ins and outs of tomato pruning, for example, and you watch my video, which is like 15 minutes or so on it, and that's performed pretty well, you're still not going to know like everything about tomato pruning. I had to narrow that down to only sort of teach you the 20% that would get you 80% of the way there. And all of the successful gardening channels from like Epic Gardening and like Self-Sufficient Me and stuff, they all kind of need to play this game. It's like part of the YouTube game, that if I put out a video of 15 minutes and people watch on average, let's say 8 minutes of that, YouTube prefers that like 60% watch time so much more to if I put out a complete like 2-hour tutorial, and that, you know, only 10% of the people who click on the video actually like watch the full thing. If that, you'll be really lucky to get that. And because of that, like, if you've ever just binge watch videos in any category on YouTube, especially educational ones, and you kind of get to the end and you go, I kind of don't really understand that much of the substance of what I want, of like what I'm trying to accomplish. You go like, yeah, I know a lot of like meta knowledge of what's going on, sort of the equivalent to, I watch a lot of pop science YouTube, like a, you know, Veritasium and Vsauce and stuff. Yeah, I know a lot of like cultural like pop science, but I don't know like physics equations. You can't like hand me physics equation, I can do that. And I think that gardening YouTube has slipped dangerously kind of into that. And I try and kind of cut through that a little bit. I try and still use all the same tricks to hook you in and then talk about deeper stuff, but I can only really sprinkle it in throughout videos. So I try and touch on the amount of times that I've tried to sneak into videos just like really vitally important things for people to understand about gardening. But then that's like not the actual thing the video is about. It's like a smaller part of an actual gardening video. Because if I just make like a video that's called everything that you need to know about like gardening in 10 minutes or whatever, people don't really watch that anywhere as much as videos that are like, stop avoiding, like stop doing this, like you need to do this. Or videos with like much narrower scopes, because the reality is like you could kind of teach someone the vast majority of what they want to know about gardening like very quickly. I could probably do it in about 10 or 15 minutes. I think I can give you like 80% what you need to know. And I've tried multiple times to make that exact video, but they've always kind of bombed. And it's the same thing that goes with everything. It's really like the attention economy part of the niche. That's sort of a big problem. Adam Ragusea did this interesting video a while ago on, it was called something like weightlifting YouTube has the same problem with food YouTube or like cooking YouTube, where it's all about the sort of the purity spirals that you can get stuck in with a given niche, I don't think gardening's too bad for a purity spiral, even though I think some of my early videos lent into it a little bit too much, just kind of because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how much about a given topic to talk about or not. And it's where, you know, the internet subcultures, and like Reddit's really bad for this, all the subreddits get really stuck in these kind of distilling an entire hobby down into this really small, like, correct way to do something. Like if you're cooking pastas or whatever, the only correct way to cook a pasta is to do these like very authentic, like 5-ingredient recipes. You can't just, like if you were to just post your like weeknight spaghetti bolognese or whatever online, like you'd get shredded to pieces over people telling you, that's not how you do it, that's not like what you do. The other thing that's really weird about garden YouTube is there's almost two halves to the kinds of channels. There's like my half, which would include, you know, Culinary Garden and Epic Gardening, Self-Sufficient Me, these sort of bigger channels. And then the other half, and one takes like a whole bunch of the views, are all these really strange, like hyper low budget tutorials based out of like Southeast Asian countries and stuff, where people just make voiceless videos of growing stuff in like tomato bags. And one of the things I find weirdest about those is that I think half of them are fake. The other thing about those sort of videos is they're showing you the progression of stuff being grown over the course of a whole season. And to make that sort of a video is such a huge effort that it's really strange that these like no-name channels can just like post one video and then it gets 3 million views or whatever. That's one of the reasons that I think it's fake. And one of the reasons that I'm sort of talking about this is that with trying to make videos that people are just like hyper watching on, the one that I'm working on at the moment is such a good example of like, it's almost a video that's disguised not as a gardening video. And it's one of the most intensive videos that I've ever made. I'm probably good like 30 hours into editing it, and I'm probably have another 20% to go. And it's one of the most like hyper edited videos that I've ever made. I don't think it'll come across as being like Mr. Beasty, like hyper cuts. There's just a lot of edits in it. I cover a wide range of things. It looks like the runtime is going to be about 25 minutes, and the entire time it's as like information dense and edit dense as like my 1 minute TikToks that are meant to be like hyper, like attention keeping. And I sort of talk about it because the better I get at YouTube, the longer my videos take, and the sort of more that I like lose connection with the audience. And that's always been sort of one of the things that I've been looking forward to most about being on YouTube, is kind of like creating that like audience connection. I'm really happy to see like my Discord and also a whole bunch of just like regulars that like keep coming into the comments. I'm really enjoying that. But so I figured I would start, I've wanted to do stuff with my second and third channels so much. So I figured I might just start posting daily or nearly daily videos to this, where it's just like, I'm just speaking to camera about cool things that are on my mind. Like one of my biggest YouTube inspirations, like the Vlog Bros, doing that sort of stuff. And I mean, like some people watch this sort of, I'd call it like medium form content, where it's like, it's not a podcast, but it's not like an actually good edited YouTube video. There's that like fitness guy that just like talks in his car. There's like Penguin Zero and stuff that do these sort of things. So if you want to see me talk about a whole range of things, I'll try and make at least one a week about like gardening, because I'll be able to start actually talking through some of my like video ideas that I think will never actually make it onto Culinary Garden. I'll post those here, but I'm also just going to talk about random things that I find interesting, things like pop culture and like science and stuff, like articles and stuff that come out that it's like relevant. I like Pokemon and music and gardening and stuff, so I'm going to be talking about all that kinds of stuff on this. New shows and stuff. Recently, I wanted to start, I'm chronically trying to get off my phone. And so something I thought like might be a good little replacement of that, because I kind of struggle to read like novels, physical novels. Now that I have a kid, it's too easy to need to just like get up and have to go do something. So then I'm like, well, what's something that's like reading that is a little bit easier to just like pick up and put down and like kind of know exactly where you are. So I jumped to reading manga for the first time this week, and I am enjoying it so much. I'm reading Chainsaw Man, and it's blowing my mind how addictive it is reading manga, because I thought that it would be like boring. Like, I don't know what my expectations were. I didn't expect to like it. Then I gave it a go, and I'm like, I can't put these books down. But oh my god, I have no idea how people afford this hobby. Because like if you're just buying the actual books from a store, they're $18 per volume, and it takes me like an hour to read a full volume of however many, like 5 or 6 chapters or whatever that is. And like I'm like 3 days into reading manga, and I'm on like I think volume 6 of Chainsaw Man. So you just like tear through it so quickly if you actually have an hour or whatever to sit down and read it. Anyway, I'll probably talk more about that sort of stuff soon, and I'm gonna get back to editing this video. That still sections that are unedited, but look at this just nightmare of a timeline. Ugh. It's taking forever. See you soon.